like a mighty power, rushing plays and scores retold. In this podcast the game unfolds, every try and tackle shared, legends of the field, none compared. Echoes of cheers, the crowd gets loud. In this audio space, we feel so proud. Pass the word, let the speakers blast. Rugby tales from the present and past. Through the airwaves, our spirits cast. In this rugby love, forever vast.
Welkom julle. Lions
Hallo,
van
Neil.
402.
Naan Kobus.
Hello.
Naan, good evening, Moyo.
How's
Hallo
it
Moyo. Hallo Eugene.
Hey.
Hallo Kobus.
Hallo almal van julle.
Daar sy.
Waar wil julle begin? Gaan ons bietjie Karibeker semies praat.
Jep.
Okay,
Ja,
oor die
ja.
by voorbaat as julle Bulls en Sharks gaan praat, gaan ek maar net luister. Ek het nie daai game gekyk nie. Ek is so spyt ek het nie. Ek sou so graag wou gekyk het, maar ek het hom gemis. So op die Lions en Cheetahs kan ek saamgesels.
Ja, ek het daarmee, ek het die Bulle en die Sharks gekyk. Maar ja, ek het baie vrae en bitter min antwoorde, want ja, kom ons los daai en dan af.
Yeah, I actually read something just now where someone essentially said that Sharks Bulls game was both teams trying to lose it, but the Bulls tried harder, which yeah, watching it there, I know we've talked about our decision making many times. Here, I think there were some decisions that also, I couldn't make sense of them, and I was messaging a friend of mine who was a Bulls fan as well, and he's like, but, we were both agreeing that there were some things that just really didn't make sense. I honestly don't know what more to say.
Kijk, ek was nogal bang geweest toe ek hoor, maar die ding gaan ekstra tyd toe en goed, en ek hoor stories van die Sharks is met 12 man. Toe dink ek myself, nee, maar wag nou. Ek het voor die tyd gesê, het ek nogal met een van Ankia se neepies gepraat, en hy is 'n groot Bulls ondersteuner. Toe sê ek van, weet jy wat, my eerste keuse sal wees om die Sharks te speel. Dit is vir my 'n makliker game. Want toe het ek nog gedag, die URC gaan begin, en die en daai, maar nou is dit aangeskuif. So, ja, en toe kom het nou deur dat die Sharks deurgaan. Maar was dit 'n scrappy game geweest, soos dit klink wat julle nou vir my ook sê. Baie mense het gepraat van die besluite van die Bulls, en die Sharks was nie eintlik so goed nie, die Bulls het hulle goed laat lyk. Wat het eintlik daar gebeur? Moet ons worry, of nie?
Niels, kom ek gee jou my 5% oor die hele game. Dit was hy effens van 'n los gechommel. Ja, besluit aan beide kante was nie wat jy verwag het in 'n semifinal nie. Maar ook bygesê, en ek haat dit om elke week te praat oor 'n skeieregter. Maar die skeieregter het hard probeer om die Bulle te laat wen. Regtig hy het. Maar nou ja, jy weet, as enige van daai twee spanne, die game wat hulle laas Saterdag gespeel het, hierdie naweek gaan speel teen die Lions, gaan hulle pak kry. Hulle gaan groot pak kry. Dit is maar basies my opinie. Regtig waar, dit is nie opgelewe na semifinal toe. Die hype en alles wat voor die game Jy weet, ja, almal was op die punte van hulle stoele toe, weet hulle basies gelyk op is, gaan 'n ekstra tyd toe, weet toe nog steeds gelyk op is en gaan die Sharks deur omdat hulle meer drie gedruk het. Volgens my was die Sharks baie gelukkig geweest.
Yeah, my take on it was, look, I think I would have preferred us to play the Bulls in the final, but I think part of that is also just probably because of the decision making, right? But it's also that where when we look at the two games we played against the Sharks, particularly that second one, we really didn't play well. Against the Bulls, we managed to play well, but also, I suppose, the injection of URC stars helped. But there, it was a pretty definitive beating. And the nice thing is, my feeling was that we'd be able to replicate that. And chances are, the decision-making of the Bulls probably would have come to the fore again. Now, with the Sharks, look, one thing I want to say is if the players respond to things the way John Plumtree is, then the Sharks will be nowhere. And I will say this, I've only read his comments. I didn't see the interview where he said them, but so it's possible some context is lost, but he's been complaining. It's like your team makes it to the final. Instead of being like, oh, wow, this is really great and stopping there, he's like, yeah, this will feel good for the boys, but, I now have to worry about URC and planning our tour, once this game is done. Previously he had said like he would have preferred if they didn't shift the schedule. He would have just put in under 21 guys and that type of thing. And it sounds very sort of dismissive. And also like he's not interested. Like, he said something about like, basically we're going to play the final because it's tradition, but it really seems like he's not keen to be there. Which is a problem, Now, his players will probably still go out there and give 110%, but I don't know. It made me feel even more like, well, this isn't the team to be in the final.
Ons hoor oom Eugene, ons kan hom hoor. Moya?
Yeah.
Moya, just one thing. Don't you think that maybe the emphasis is not so much on the Curry Cup for them because of the foreign investment? That American lawyers, that Mazzotti, what's his name?
Yeah.
They be pushing for the Challenge Cup to win the Challenge Cup, and now they advanced to the Champions. They won the Champions Cup. So maybe the emphasis is more on Champions Cup and URC rather than a local Curry Cup.
Well, but here's the thing. I mean, if he's thrown as much money as he has at the Sharks, I would say win everything. Because imagine now if they could say, oh, we've won Challenge Cup, Curry Cup, URC, and Champions Cup, all within the space of, of 12 months. That would be massive.
Eugene, is oom reg? Kan oom ons hoor? Ek sien ons het 'n bietjie probleme daar met oom Eugene. Kan julle my hoor daarom?
Ek kan jou hoor, Niels.
Ja. Okay, kom ons gee my so 'n kans. Hy sal dit. Oom Eugene, kan oom ons hoor? Okay, nee, hy sal seker nou regkom. Die ding wat ek net dink is, hulle was nie, ek het ook nou eers onlangs gehoor dat die URC nog aangeskuif het. Laat ons URC spanne nou kan veld die naweek vir die Curriebeeker. Blykbaar gaan ons vroeg in 2025 eers daai game teen die Sharks speel. Het julle ook so iets gesien?
Ja, blijkbaar Januarie 25 as ek dit nie mis het nie, Niels.
Ja, ek dink Plumtree het nie geweet van dit. Nee, hy het ook dalk nou eers uitgeput.
Kyk, my take op Sarah se game, né? Die bulle, ek bly die ding al sê, hoe lank op die podcast, as jy 15-10-12 speel, skop jy nie besit weg nie, dan hardloop jy hulle van hulle voete af. Soos mooi en nou gesê het, al twee van 'n wou verloor het. Moya, maybe you disagree with me, yeah? I'm a bit worried. Although the Sharks didn't play well, we gave away too many soft tries against the Cheetahs.
Yeah.
We can't allow that Saturday. We got to get on the board, stay on the board, stay ahead. Just coming back from behind is not going to work.
Well, exactly. And one of the things that we've done a lot better in the Currie Cup is actually securing the lead first. You know, it hasn't been this thing where we've had to claw back and, you know, and do that. And much as it's character building to be able to do that, you want to establish dominance and maintain it. Also, you know, looking at it, a worrying thing, fine, Sharks conceded 4 tries, we conceded 6. And the Sharks scored 6 against the Bulls. So, you know, that now becomes a thing where every try counts. But also we can't afford any missed kicks. You know, whether they're close or far, we need to make sure we get every single kick because, you know, you can ask the Bulls about a missed kick. Honestly, had that final kick gone over, cool, Bulls are through. But that's how tight the margins can be.
No, I fully agree with you. We should take every point, especially in the final that comes along. Not go to the corner, take the points if it's kickable. I don't know about you guys. I just don't like Kate Volata at 10. I don't think he's shaping. And I think we're going to have a problem if they start him in the final at 10. That's my opinion.
Ek stem hom.
Ek stem 100% Kobus.
Ek het niks teen hom nie, maar sy skoppe is vir my bietjie, daar's veel te wense daaraan. En as hy breek, sy aanvallende spel, as hy breek, hy's baie keer ge-isolated. Dis asof die span nie gaan weet hy gaan breekie. Dan het ons nie daai support nie. Ek weet nie, is hy so X-factor speler dat hy ons ook kan 'n rat vir die oor draai nie. Maar ek het nou 'n paar keer gesien as hy hardloop goed. Maar baie keer kon hy daai bal ook maar bietjie uitgepaas het. Hy probeer alles alleen doen. En dan word ons op die slapkant gevang. En veral in die Cheetahs was ons onder druk gewees in die losgemale hoor. Ek weet nie, ons sal nou daarby kom.
I know, watching Volata, I think he's coming along, but I do agree that there's something a little off here and there, and it's probably just, you know, as he's regaining form, you know, he'll improve. Although that said, if this is him off form, then we know when he's on form, he's going to be doing some really, really good things for us. But yeah, I've noticed there's times where he'll run a lot laterally, you know, he'll just be going like sideways. And yeah, if it amounts to something, great, but you also have to be careful of that because if someone gets a read on you, that's going to end very poorly for the team.
Ja. Ja, maar wie dink julle sal die beste wees om my nommer 10 jersey te vat in die finaal? As julle nou moet dink, if you take into consideration who maybe is going to be the flyer for the Sharks, who would you like to see on flyer?
Sanele.
Yeah. But I will say, much as I agree, what has me sweating a little bit is that feeling of, you know, do we start him and keep him all the way through? Do we start him, but then, you know, the thing is, does that mean we end up subbing Nico Stain and shifting him to 9? Because one thought that hits me is we have Sam Francis available because there's no under-21 game this weekend. But if I'm coaching, do I take a guy who fair enough, played a few not URC, Curry Cup games, but is now back entrenched with the under 21s. Do you pull him out of there and say, hey, listen, we're putting you in a final, good luck? What do you do? But because the worry is, if you have Nahamba on the bench, who's the cover? That then becomes my concern.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Moya. Personally, I would have then started with Sanele and have Francis on the bench as a backup for him. That's the way I wouldn't start Francis. I wouldn't.
Die ding is, ek stem met hom saam, maar die ding vir my is Nwamba om hom as 'n impakspeler te gebruik. Ons ken Nwamba gee elke game 100%.
Korrek.
Maar dit gaan ook nie volhou. Hy gaan daai eendag gaan 'n afgame hê. En ek wil nie ou wat 'n afgame hê in die laaste 20 minute hê nie. Ek wil hom eerder vroeg begin en sê luister, jy perform. En ek glo tot vandag toe nog ek kan nie dit bewys nie, maar my hart sê vir my as Nwamba teen die Cheetahs begin het, sou ons nie daai 14-0 gesien het so vroeg in die game nie.
Ek is seker daarvan, ja, nee, definitief. Niels, ek stem saam met jou daar. Weet maar, soos ek sê, jy weet, as Nwamba afdag moet hê, dan sal ek hom begin. En 'n oordentlike backup soos Francis het, wat kan skop en kan hardloop. En ja, dit is ek meen, as jy sien, Sanele shape nie, haal hom af en sit vir Francis op. Jy weet Francis gaan jou nie teleurstel nie.
Nee, verseker. Kyk, ek sê nie Sanele gaan 'n afdag.
Nee, definitief.
Soos daai man perform game in, game out. It's bound to happen. Sometime gaan hy 'n slegte game hê. Dit nog nie gebeur nie, maar dit
kan gebeur enige tyd.
Dit moet gebeur.
Nee, dit kan gebeur en dit kan enige tyd gebeur. Dit is die onvoorspelbaarheid van die spel. So ja.
But one thing that has me sweating as well is that, mind you, I think this was said before the game, but someone was saying that the plan might be to include the likes of Frank Horn in for the final. Now, instantly, I start to say, well, okay, but what does that mean in terms of the lineup, right? Where do you put him, considering Jared Kearns was man of the match in the semi? You
had a brilliant game.
Exactly. So you're not going to be like, hey, you know what, we're putting in Horn in place of him. As well, like with Horn being an 8, that's the only guy he would come on for. So the question then also becomes, if you have Horn on the bench, who's your other loose forward cover? Renzo Duplessis and JC Pretorius are working quite nicely where, you start one, sub the other. That, I think, works. Ruan Fenter, much as he had a bit of a quiet game, still played all right. And Kwama is, showing he belongs. So it is also that where it's like, well, are you going to say then one of them won't get game time? I don't know. And also considering that the Sharks have quite hard running loose forwards, who's the better counter to that? Then also becomes the big question.
That's a nice thing, Moya. Last year we didn't have this.
Correct.
We didn't have this headache. Now we have this headache. It is a good headache to have.
I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting here just being like, you know what, guys? It is such a blessing to be able to stress about first a semi-final and then a final. I think back to like, when was the last time the Lions were in a final? It's great to sit and have this problem, but also on top of that, it's great to have this problem where we have depth enough that it's like, who do we play? Because we actually have options. It's not a thing of like, hey, you know what, it can only be this guy because there's no one else.
Yeah, although I would pick, or I will start with Renzo and not bring him on as an impact player. I think that also, to a certain extent, it showed that we missed him on the side of the scrum, where the Cheetahs scored those quick tries. So I would start him, bring JC on as an impact player. I mean,
yes.
When he came on, it was. I mean, he stole a good couple of balls from them.
Exactly.
So
I think the bulk of the players that brought us to the final should get a chance. I think it's only fair.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The guys have proven that they can do the job. How's it going to feel if you bring all the big names in now and these oaks that carried us in here, and let's say, God forbid, we lose the final, then what do we do then? You understand? I play the bulk of the players, Renzo to start with Jared Kearns and those oaks, and bring some of the URCs maybe later in the game when we need it. I really think the guys that brought us so far should be given the game time.
Absolutely. You always go with who brought you.
Ja, ek stem met julle saam, maar ek's nog 'n 50-50 op daai en ook. Omrede laat die URC aangeskuif. Ons weet die Sharks gaan hulle vol URC span gooi. Hulle gaan ons met hulle beste gooi. Gaan nou 'n kans waag en jou Currie Cup span so speel op dalk miskien 2 of 3 URC ouens insit, of gaan jy daai match en sê, weet jy wat, kom ons sit ook ons URC, kom ons wen die Currie beker. Want vir my is dit gaan heartbroken wees vir daai ouens soos Jared Kearns, Renzo Du Plessis, om te gaan speel in 'n Currie beker finaal teen 'n ander opponent se URC span en jy maak dit dan dalk nie. Wat sê dit vir jou selfvertroue? Jy het jou werk ingesit, jy het alles gedoen wat jy kan, maar die stelsel het vir jou 'n ander span gegee as wat jy eintlik verdien het om teen te speel.
Ja, wel, Niels, klassieke voorbeeld, die Bulle die naweek. Hulle het hulle span gelaai met URC speler. En hoe ver het dit hulle gebring? Nie baie ver nie. Ek meen, Johan Goosen gebreekte neus. Die manne het net nie gespeel soos wat jy verwag het hulle speel nie. En ek dink die ouens wat die Bulle gebring het tot waar hulle gekom het voor laas Saterdag se game. Voel so 'n bietjie upset, want hulle het die span gebring tot daar, toe gooi hulle al die groot name in en hulle is in die final nie. Die selfe kan gebeur in die final ook.
Ek stem saam met jou. Ek meen die manne wat nou tot hier gekom het, is ouens wat saam gel die hele seisoen al. Hulle speel lank saam, hele Currie speel hulle saam. Nou bring jy ander manne skielik in en as daai eenvormigheid of whatever jy wil noem, die samespel is nie skielik nie dieselfde nie.
100% Kobus. 100%.
Hierdie span het ons gebring tot hulle ken mekaar se spel. Hulle weet as ou breek moet jy saam gaan die en daai kant toe. Ek dink eerlikwaar, ons moet liewerste van die URC ons die bank sit en dieselfde span laat begin speel. Maar gou 'n ander vraag. Dink julle ouens, die extra 20 minutes that the Sharks played, Do you think it will have an effect on the final on Saturday?
I think it might. I literally was thinking about it like this. It struck me as 2019, like those semis, where it's like, the part of England will now be played by the Sharks, where they might have actually played their best game. They actually might have given it their best shot. But can they now replicate that? Especially where, look, it's a matter of hours in terms of the turnaround, but also they've had to travel back. They're going to now travel again. After playing all that rugby and that, can they keep it together, to produce again in the final? By the same token, it's like, hey, we scored 6 tries, we leaked tries. Are we also able to hold together and just say, hey, you know what? Now, 80 minutes, like, we're not going to end up in extra time for this. We are just going to push. But I honestly do think the Sharks might have given it their best shot. I hope I'm not wrong, but yeah, you do get that feel of, one, they'll be really inspired by what they did, but they're going to be tired. They have to be at least a bit tired.
That is my point. My point, Moya, when in 2019, when England beat the All Blacks in the semi-final, I actually went to the Box supporters and I said to the World Cup is yours. And they all asked me, why would I say that? And I said, in history, there's no way England can play 2 games like that in a row. And it proves my point. England couldn't back up that performance. They played their hearts out to put All Blacks out of the World Cup, and they couldn't match it. That's why they were outplayed by the Box. I'm not taking anything away from the Box, but I think it was a bit more easy for them. So I hope and pray that the same is going to happen with the Lions. That, like you say, Moya, that the Sharks is now basically like a boxer out on his feet. They've really played the best rugby they could, and they're going to have to scrape together to play another 80 minutes against the Lions.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is as well that the Sharks had to fly up or travel up to Loftus to play the game there. Then I had to go back down to Durban. Now they're going to come back up again. And have this thing of them having to fly out on Sunday for the start of the URC. I think the guys are, after playing 100 minutes of rugby last weekend, the guys are going to be tired. And obviously, a lot of people say, the pressure, and height above sea level, etc., doesn't play a factor. It does. Yes, Durban is only a 50-minute flight from Joburg. But still, the guys have got to travel. It's becoming a big hassle. And at the end of the day, I think the Sharks are going to be not only weary, but they are going to be tired. And they also, I think they're also going to maybe not produce 100%. Because of the start of the URC, playing the first game the following weekend.
Especially because I believe they're going on tour.
Correct.
Yeah, and see, if I'm honest, that's where I come back to what John Plumtree said, and why I didn't like it as well was that this is something where you have to have your players remain in the moment. You can't be, because if you're like, hey, hurry up and win this cup so we can go to more important things, that's not a great attitude to go in with. But also, if the coach is now literally like, okay, guys, so we're thinking mainly about next week. We've got a final to play, but anyway, URC, here's who we're thinking. So we need to do this or this. It kind of takes away from the moment. If I'm thinking about it, if I'm a player and literally we have a final and you're hearing your coach say things around like, I guess we're going to have to just turn up for this thing because, we're in it now. Versus what our coach was saying, where it's like, hey, I don't have to tell the players anything because, come Monday, if they aren't switched on to this being a final, they shouldn't be playing in the final sort of thing. Like, it's honestly a tale of two philosophies, and it's just, yeah.
Well,
we sitting in the same boat. Remember, USD starts for us at the same time.
Yes. I mean, look, thankfully we've got home games, but still.
We've got home games, guys. We've got the first 2 games are home games, so we're not flying out.
Ja. Nee, ek hoor hom, Kobus, maar die probleem is, wil jy 'n stempel afdruk in URC van die get-go af? Want as ons URC ouens gaan speel in die final, die naweek daarna begin ons. Dis nou wel 'n home game, maar nou is dit weer daai mes van twee kante, wat twee kante sny. Gebruik jy jou URC ouens, gee vir hulle meer game time, en jy daai stappie bietjie vorentoe vir jou eerste URC game, maar nou benader jy jou Karibeker outjies weer. Maar onthou jy dat in die Bulls game moet ons aangegaan oor die wholesale changes wat daar was. Ons het so tussen ons hele URC span ingesit. Ek dink daar was 4 of 5 spelers wat nie in die 23 was wat nie URC spelers is nie. En ons het die Bulls vermorsel.
Ja, Niels, die ding is, jy weet, met die uitlating van John Plumtree, ek weet, maak hy, of doen hy bietjie afbreek aan die status van die Karibeker. Vir die eenvoudige rede, dat sy uitlating sê, luister hier, so die Karibeker is nie belangrik nie. Wel, vir hom is dit nie belangrik. Vir die spelers is dit dalk belangrik, maar vir hom as 'n coach is dit nie belangrik nie. Weet hy, ek dink omdat hy verlede jaar die wat hom trofee gewen het, hulle gaan hierdie jaar weer net instap en kom ons hoop en bid dat vir hulle onthaalwe dat hulle 'n beter seisoen het as hulle laaste seisoen gehad het.
Daar was al sprake gewees wat hulle gesê het van Karibeker is dood.
Nee, Karibeker is nie dood nie, my maat.
Hy is nie dood nie, oom. Die spelers, die game is nie dood nie.
Nee.
Maar dat ek weer eens, dis 'n semifinaal gewees. Hoeveel mense was op Ellis Park? Maar het ons nou Zebre in die URC gespeel, was daar meer mense. En dis hartseer.
Nee, dit is.
Die mense wil nie meer Karibeker gaan kyk nie. Die mense ag nie meer Karibeker reg nie. Dis waar die probleem lê. Dis die oudste toernooi wat daar is, maar die mense het nie meer daai tyd om uit te gaan en 'n Karibeker game te gaan kyk. Hulle sal nou eerder 'n URC game gaan kyk.
Maar Niels, kan ek gou inchip hierso? Dis ouens wat nie true supporters is nie. Ek is 'n true supporter. Ek sal gaan kyk ek het al gaan kyk as hulle oefen game speel op Wits. Van ek support my span. Daai ouens wat as dit Saterdag of dit nou 'n Karibeker of 'n oefen game of 'n URC is, dis die true supporters en as ek altyd bly sê, dit gaan oor die Lions, ek en my sien dit weer na, hy's 'n Sharks supporter, nou gaan hy weer met in die finals, maar hy kan nie vir my 3 name gee wat in die Sharks span speel nie, en dit krap my gat, verskoon my taal, want dis die ouens wat ons nie nodig het as supporters nie, want hulle moet daar wees, winning or losing, maak nie wat se game hulle speel nie, jy moet jou span gaan support.
Ja, nee, ek stem 100% saam met jou, Kobus. Wie die hele ding is, nee, daar ek meen, ons hoeveel mense wat baie geraas maak op baie groepe. Ongeag of het nou die Lions groepe is, Cheetahs, Sharks, Thomas of whatever, dit maak nie saakie. Maar dan gaan jy na daai einste ou toe en vra van wanneer laas was jy by 'n game gewees op die park? Dan gaan jy nie vir jou kan sê nie. En soos ek sê, ek sal bitter graag elke game van die Lions wil gaan kyk op die park. Ek wens ek kon, maar ek kan nie. Ek sal baie graag die final hier nou ek wil gaan kyk, maar ek kan nie. Dit soos ek sê, weet ek noem hulle mooi weers ondersteuner. Hulle ondersteun die span wanneer dit goed gaan en wanneer die span deur swaar tye gaan, dan as hulle nou weer te besien en dan kraak hulle nog die span ook af.
Die ding wat my heeltemal irk van rugby ondersteuners, as iemand vir my sê ek's 'n Bull of ek's 'n Shark of ek's 'n die of 'n dit, en hulle kan nie eens op 5 van hulle eie spelers noem nie.
Ja,
Of hulle noem spelers wat 3 jaar terug afgetree het, wat lankal nie eens meer speel nie, dan sal hulle nie daai man speel nog. Nou dan jy's 'n kaas en wyn supporter dan is dit nou maar net om die TV aan te sit en jy kyk maar die skor aan die einde. Dis hoe ek dit vat. Jy moet tog belangstelling in jou span se nuus en wie word geteken en wie gaan uit en jou opponent ook obviously. Jy kan nie uit die vuis uit skiet net hoorie maar ons gaan die span kan wen. Hoekom? Want daai speler teen daai speler wat die gameplan van daai span is, ons gameplan is beter as hulle sin van so, hulle verdediging is opskiet, ons sin is die. Maar jy kry bitter min deesdae. Jy kry bitter min sulke ondersteuners.
Maar Niels, dis wat ek nou wil vir iemand sê. Ek dink ek weet meer van bok rugby af op die stadium as baie mense op baie van hierdie groepe. Ek ken die spanne beter, ek ken hoe die ouens speel beter. Ek meen, ek support glad in die bokke nie. Ek sê, as ek my sê nou vir hom sê, toe ons Sondag af was, ek sê, daar's my foon, sê, daar's Henko van Wyk, Koen Hon, Nico Stein, ek het hulle nommers op WhatsApp, ek praat met die manne, ek is nie windgat geit nie, maar ek support my span en ek druk my neus orals in om goed uit te vind. En dan soos jy sê, dan kom sê hy vir my, die ou speel met die ou tot 10 jaar terug afgetree. Dan krap dit aan my.
Nee, dit kan vir my verskriklik irriteer daai. Want dan wys dit net vir my dadelik, jy het nie 'n cooking clue. Hoekom support jy dan die span as jy nie eens die moeite doen om te weet wie se spelers nie? Of as mense jou vra, wanneer begin die URC? Jy as 'n supporter moet jy dit weet. Jy moet mos nie stop af, want dis 'n tournament waar jy nou uitsien van jou span gaan daarin speel. Hoe kan jy nie weet wanneer jou span volgende speel nie?
My favourite vraag op die groep is, wanneer speel die Lions die naweek?
Oh yeah.
Ja.
And sometimes it's after the game.
To go there because you get these idiots. I'm sorry, I call them idiots. I'm a true Lions supporter. When are they playing this weekend?
Of hulle vra, hoe laat begin die game? My genade, regtig.
Yeah. And again, it'll be after the game sometimes. So it'll be like, oh, so what time are we playing? It's like, wait, what do you? But you know one thing, and you know, it's something that I've noticed, like particularly on WhatsApp groups. I can kind of forgive Facebook groups because you know it like posts won't always show up in your feed, but literally, because it's happened a few times and it's not just like, you know, Lions WhatsApp groups, but like different WhatsApp groups where you post something and no jokes, no sooner have you posted it, like a minute or two later, someone asks, you know, a question that you have just answered. And you're like, but if you just read 2 messages up. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying go back like 2 days. No, just 2 messages. That's all you need to read to be like, oh, someone has just said. You know?
But that's the thing, Moya, with our WhatsApp group. The thing I love about ours, and I think that distinguishes us better than any other group, is the news feeds that come through.
Yes.
Most people, they have WhatsApp tickets. They don't have normal data. So they can't Google or whatever. But you're up to date. As long as you're part of the group, you will know team selections. You will know new signings. You will know everything. Updates on scores, live scores, everything. The whole package is there. You only need actually WhatsApp data. And then you're fine. Yeah. But most other groups, they don't have that.
No, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, one of the things I appreciate is where, like, for instance, you know, you because you've got a wide range of people can also bring different things to the table. People also, like, you know, like you've said, Kobus, where, like, you know, you speak to some of the players, you know some of the players, you know, there was a valuable insights that can be given. You know, some of the guys who are photographers and are like, oh, you know, here's pictures I took from the game. And that's great. It's great sort of being part of a community that can do all of that. But, the downside is that, you do also end up with things where I remember, it was either on one of the WhatsApp groups or one of the Facebook groups where, basically people were making fun of the Bulls for losing or this, and it's like, guys, we need to calm down because let's support our team, sure, but I said in a previous podcast, unfortunately, I'm just too thin-skinned for a lot of banter. In part because part of my thinking is this: it's one thing where it's person to person and the person. Right? Then it's easy enough because you know what the boundaries are, you know what boundaries not to cross. The issue is where, people will go and basically act like, hey, you know what, I'm going to chat like we've known each other forever. And it's like, well, actually, but you don't know this person, or, you don't know, like, even with bashing teams and that, it's like, hey, it's all fun and games till it's your team. And then you can't even get upset when, supporters of another team are like, oh, well, now your team is in problems. And I think it's that where, especially with the Lions having struggled so much, I really just feel like, if there's any sort of group of supporters who should be like, actually, you know what, we should be better than all of that, it should be us, just because, we know what it feels like where, you're treated as like, the target of so many jokes, even where people are trying,
But Moya, even on a WhatsApp group, on our group, last weekend, I gave an opinion and somebody got offended. I think the guy's name was Pete. He got totally offended by what I was saying. He was trying to personally attack me. He didn't succeed because I knew how to handle the situation. So I just told him, listen, this is my opinion, this, that. And 2 days afterwards, he sent me a personal message and he apologized. I said, there's no worries, my friend. So nice. On a WhatsApp group, there's you must also always watch what you say.
Yes.
But you can't always just watch what you say. You have to speak your mind.
No, absolutely.
And sometimes you step on toes, sometimes you don't.
Yeah, well, on one word.
It's like on the WhatsApp group, I don't know if it's our group or the other group I'm on. Whenever I think at one stage, Wynand said, we're going to beat Friese by 40 points or whatever. And I said, I don't care if we win by 1 point as long as we win and go through. That's all I want. Yep. It's like you said, Moya, we are Transvaal Lions supporters. We know what it's like to be teased at and you don't actually want to go out in public with your Lions jersey because it's one loss after another. That's why I said 1 point win is fine. I made a joke with my wife. She said to me, you she calls it you guys, but she supports the Lions. I said, you guys are lucky. And I said, no, you remember what Tok Raven said? Look at the scoreboard. We won. That's all what counts.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And look, I tell you what, it's going to be an exciting game, I think. I'm just so very excited and again so very proud to be able to say like, hey, look, you know what? Here we are in a final. Like it's been a while. Especially a home final, but we've made it. And really the hope is that everyone takes heart from this, because I think one of the beautiful things here as well is that even with like, who do we pick against? Ulster is our first URC game now. Who do we pick against Ulster? Well, I was like, hey, you know what? If we wanted to, we could be like, hey, guys, especially if we win this weekend, we can say, guys, listen, you guys have won the Currie Cup. Have this first one. We actually have that depth where we can do that and say, okay, you know what? We're going to filter more and more URC guys in as the weeks go on. And then, the core of the Currie Cup squad will be the guys who will then play Challenge Cup. And, where you can say, like, cool, that's going to be the rotation, and you can keep that spine running through and say, guys, listen, we're backing you. Because, already they brought us this far. For me, that's the beautiful thing. If we can get that sort of rotation right, we're in a very, very good place, because then we don't have to be too stressed about, like, okay, this player's injured, now what? Nope. People are filtering in beautifully.
But also, Moya, if you do that, like you say, if we win the Currie Cup, well, when we win the Currie Cup on Saturday, let's rephrase that, give a bulk of the players the first run in the URC, acknowledge what they've done for the season. Because if you don't, I'm scared that some of the youngsters will say, okay, we got you guys this far, now you're taking us away, so let's start looking at other unions and whatever to go play.
Well, exactly, and other unions are probably already looking at some of the guys and being like, yeah, hey, you should come to us. Why don't you come to us? Don't give the players a reason. Have them really feel like, hey, you know what? Here, I feel like I'm really a part of something, and we're going places together. I think that's the thing. No one wants to feel like you're the beast of burden that's gotten people there, and then it's like, yeah, you know what, I'm disappearing now, or it's like, yeah, you've served your purpose now, let's let the A team come in and do things. Like, no.
Yeah, exactly. Acknowledge the guys for what they've done. I mean, once in a while I speak to Renzo and Henko and those guys on WhatsApp, and they're all positive about the Lions, and I must say, I don't want to put names and numbers. I want to just block off their messages and send it on the group. The way they speak, they've got such respect for their elders and such respect for each other's players. They are playing for each other again, like we used to play when in the good days when we were unbeaten for like 3 seasons in a row. And I spoke to Henko a while ago, and he says he's so frustrated because he can't play. And I said to him, will you go for another province? And he says, Kobus, I'm a born Lions player. I'll stay here as long as they want me. And that's the sort of attitude we need from the youngsters.
As klaar nou die berigte van Salene, wat Stormers toe miskien gaan. Ek hoop nie ons laat hom gaan nie. Laat ons ons tempo afdruk en luister, ons hou ons spelers. Kom met 'n counter offer of iets. Ons kan nie ons spelers so weggee nie. Ons maak naam vir hulle. Nie dat Nwamba 'n slegte speler was by die Sharks, maar hy speel definitief sy beste rugby by die Lions. So kom ons sit, al moet ons geld op die tafel sit, kom ons sit geld op die tafel en hou daai speler. Dan wys jy by die res, luister, ons invest in 'n ou. Dis nie van, as die prys reg is, laat ons hom gaan nie.
Yeah. No,
someone to me 100%.
Yeah, because and I think as well, Nhamba hopefully also realizes going to the Stormers is probably not in his best interest, because with us, he's got that freedom where, even where he wants to get into the box setup, his utility is what will get him there. And we're able to maximize that utility by saying, okay, we'll play you at 9 or 10. He goes to the Stormers, he's not playing 10. He's behind 2 Bok 10s. And here's the thing, even if both Bok 10s are there, well, if he's the guy that's left, well, what does that say for his chances in making the box?
But they want to go scrum up.
Yeah, but now here's the thing. So if they're going to only play him in that one position, I mean, okay, but the question also becomes, considering how John Dobson has also persisted with Herschel Yankees, and that you then have to ask the question, will he be number 1? Will he be number 2? And even if he's number 1, will that get him to higher honors? That also becomes a big question.
Weet jy, maar kom ons praat gou oor die game teen die Cheetahs. Hoe voel jy oor die game? Ek gaan so vinnig uit die face skiet. Asenati se try, well deserved. Dit was massive. Ek dink hy man voel hy 200 meter gehardloop. Morney Brandon se 3, Ek dink sy bene was te vinnig vir hom, so hy wou net daar kom. Hy wou net by hy wou daai 3 gaan druk het. Nwamba, daai hoë tackle op Nwamba, not cool. Maar net daarna toe slaan hy terug en hy het 'n 3 gaan druk. En ek het nogal gesê, nou maak jy net vir Nwamba kwaad. Maar ek wil gou vassteek op een dingetjie vir my. Raf Swane. Hy het nie die geel kaart gekry nie. Ek so rukkie terug op die podcast, daai een van Sebories in die Bokke en die All Black game. Daai was 'n kaart. Nou, ons kom terug weer na inconsistency. En ek vra weer die vraag, what does it mean to play a player in the air? If it was not for that cheetah player, for a kind of obstruction, we would have been carded. But Raps didn't play the player.
No, exactly. And my thing is, it doesn't make sense where it's like, oh, there was a collision with another player, and so, how are you going to actually put any sanction on that when Rabs wasn't acting of his own volition? There, it literally was like, okay, well, he's been impeded, therefore he couldn't jump for the ball. He ends up falling. In his fall, he takes out the Cheetahs player. I mean, what can you do? Like, what, I get the feeling if he had his way, he would have rather run and jumped for the ball.
The same thing I felt with Sebories. He was going for the jump, and at the latest stage of late, he saw that he won't compete, and then he just threw up his arms and turned his back. And they was playing a play in the air. And now I hear you saw the Bulls and the Sharks game. I hear there was some incident there also that somebody got carded. Was something similar to Ralph McSwane's offense?
Oh, I'm trying to remember now.
The problem is the referees are not consistent.
Yeah.
We actually spoke about it. I was at my sister's place in the week. The second test, All Blacks, Springboks. Take nothing away, the Springboks deserve the win. But it's like they blow the Blacks for stupid things for 10 minutes and he turns around, does the same to the Springboks. He blows them for stupid stuff. There's no consistency. If you don't do this, I don't care who you are, you get a card, you get blown. It's like they favorite teams for a bit and they're not consistent. And like my brother-in-law Johan said, we don't mind losing, but we have to lose not by referees being stupid or inconsistent.
Well, I think that was part of the problem, right? It's like they were consistently inconsistent because it's as you were saying, it really felt like for 5-10 minutes, this team can do no wrong. Okay, now 5-10 minutes, the other team can't do any wrong. Okay, now we switch back and we switch back and we switch back. Ja,
sorry, I was just messaging hom Eugene. Ek sien hy sukkel baie.
Ja, hy kom nie lekker deur nie.
Ja. Maar ja, daar's 'n ander dingetjie wat ek ook wou genoem het. By ons game, met die Cheetahs game. John-Ray Rudolph is sekerlik een van die vuilste spelers wat daar is. Hy man het met moord weggekom in ons game. Rarig. Dis nou lekker om het nou te sê, ons het die game gewen, maar was die ander kant sou ek nie happy gewees het nie. Toe hy af is, toe skielik het ons voorspelers bietjie die voorhand. Oordat hulle die manne oor die bal gedryf het, hulle het groot marakas gemaak. As dit nie vir Wenzel was, en vir John-Ray Rudolph wat afgegaan het, dink julle die game sou dieselfde outcome gehad het?
Good question. I mean, look, those two, and I'll say Ethan Wenzel in particular, were just on fire. The thing that worried me, though, was what was wrong with Ethan Wenzel? Because it seemed like he went off for an HIA, which he passed, but then almost instantly after he was brought back from it, they were like, actually, we're subbing him. Yeah, that was a bit worrying, especially because, like, guys, medical protocols exist for a reason, and I think they when they noticed he was groggy the first time, they should have actually just subbed him, but I'm pretty sure he wanted to carry on. But, look, I think it was last week where I said we did so well against the Cheetahs the first time around, and part of why we did was no Jandre Rudolph in that game. He is one of those guys that is just immense for the Cheetahs, provided he keeps his discipline in check. He is also that guy where, unfortunately, he's a bit of a card magnet, and you could see that especially at the breakdown. There's things that he does that are actually cynical, but, you know, a lot of the time he does it just enough that, you know, the ref won't quite catch it.
No, I fully agree. He got away with a lot of stuff, but like you say, he's like the way the All Blacks play. They play the advantage line to their advantage, and they get away with as much as they can. And that's exactly what happened with John Rudolph on Saturday.
Yeah.
Die hele probleem vir my met 'n ding wat ek sien deesdae elke span probeer dit nou deesdae doen, is hierdie opskietverdediging. Rush defense. It's like the next best thing since sliced bread. Each team wants to do it. En daai momentum het net so geswaai toe Nwamba opkom. Het ons hulle half ingetrek en dan skielik gat ons net byt. Want dis al hoe jy opskietverdediging gaan klop. Ons het gesien die All Blacks dit mooi gebruik het met daai Jesse Crew overrun nou 2 weke die eerste game. Het ons gesien wat hoe jy gat kan kry om hom net te hardloop sonder om te skop binne 'n opskietverdediging. Do you guys feel like every game you watch these days it's rush defense?
Yeah, it seems to be all the rage these days, right? Like everyone's trying to really push for it. The thing is, you know, if everyone's doing it, more people are going to figure out how to, you know, how to get past it, and how to adapt to it. So, yeah, one wonders, you know, if we give it a couple of years, will it still be all everyone does, or, you know, what will the next thing be?
Yeah, and it seems like in the olden days, there was this thing like, the faster you can get your balls to your wingers, the faster you score. But nowadays, it's not that type of rugby anymore. Either way, you kick for territory, or you want to run with your centers through everybody, and your wingers don't get the ball.
Yeah.
And it's not in South African rugby only. It's like almost every game you see. Is that thing that they're afraid to just go wide fast. It's like you have to build 8-9 phases, and then you suddenly go to your sides. Is that maybe the difference between running rugby or not? What do you guys think?
I mean, I think there, like, look, because everyone knows sort of what can go wrong. You know, you do get that feeling that people will be trying to almost be a bit conservative. But the thing that I've noticed as well is that you know, sometimes it will force opposition to play a bit deeper, and you get some teams that actually thrive from playing from deep. There's others where, because they like to play like close to the gain line, they struggle because now almost they're having to be in their shells. So yeah, I think it's a bit of a 50-50 at this point.
I just think, maybe I'm wrong, the better games we played in the Currie Cup is when we had ball in hand and not just kick the ball all over the field. I
Yeah.
believe if you kick, it must be for a reason. Who must be out, not just this kick for you, kick for me, kick for you, kick for me. If we can keep a running game again on Saturday against the Sharks, I think we are going to give them a decent hiding.
Yeah. No, that's it. I'll say this: the best kicks that we've had have been those ones that have been pinpoint accurate, and literally, it's just it's right to the man. I think back to our game against the Griffins, where what does Rabs do? He's in the air and just literally just pats it down. There's Jared Kearns in. If we're getting that sort of accuracy on our kicks, happy. If it's a thing where, it doesn't come off, not great. But, as we saw this past weekend, the bounce of the ball can either be beautiful or really cruel. Those 2 tries that the Cheetahs scored early on, it literally was the bounce of the ball. That ball doesn't bounce that high, we're fine. It bounced as high as it did, we weren't fine.
Yeah. But strange enough for me, the games, if I think back to it now, the I won't say the best tries, the most tryable opportunities we got was on our sides. When we played the ball, the quickest with that we can to the wingers. Sometimes we got, in the URC, we got Frankie on the winger, and now recently we got Renzo, sometimes on the wing, as an extra winger. So that's why I'm asking, do you guys think that that's a game plan for running rugby or not?
Niels, sorry, ek het net so 'n bietjie gesukkel. Dan hoor ek julle nie. Maar in 'n geval, die hele ding is, ek het nie soos Kobus gesê het, ek het nie so seer 'n pyn met die skoppies nie. Maar die goue reël van rugby, jy kan nie gaan druk sonder die bal nie. So kom skop jy hom weg. As er 'n gap is en jy sit hom in die kassie op as 'n 50-22, by all means, nee, maar moenie doelloos jou skop nie. Jy sit met 'n griftige agterlyn, ons wat kan hardloop, ons moet spoed, ons wat gap kan slaan. En met Renzo wat basies aansluit by die agterlyn as 'n ekstra center of 'n vleuel. Nee, definitief. Ek meen, JC het dit ook verwys. Hy kan dit doen. En sover het baie goeie vrugte afgewerp. So ek dink die nuwe styl van running rugby. Jou losvoorspelers wat aansluit by die agterlyn en natuurlik daardeur kan jy jou overlap basis begin.
And I think that was one thing that honestly scared me in that Bulls-Sharks game, was that when the Bulls were up by 2 or 3 men, they didn't have that ball in hand approach.
No, they didn't.
To get an overlap. And I'm like, but guys, I'm no mathematician, but the numbers say that you should be able to secure an overlap at some point, or at least wear the team down to a point where something's going to give at some point.
Well, you're right there, Moya. I mean, if the Bulls applied pressure, that 15 men can apply to 12. Surely there should have been gaps opening the size of a barn door. But it just seemed like they were not interested in doing that. They got that approach, go with the forwards and soften them up front. Does not always work. Marcel wasn't that effective
Yeah.
He lost a couple of turnovers himself. So I don't know. As I say, those days of what everybody calls Tamka rugby, that doesn't work anymore. You got to go with your backline. You've got a potent backline, and you don't use it. What's the purpose then of having those guys?
Oh, exactly. I mean, you look at that Bulls backline as well. It's a potent backline.
It is.
It made no sense to not utilize them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The thing is, Moya, I said the weekend to someone, if you play 15-12 and you don't score at least 2 tries in that 10 minutes, then you don't want to win the game. I'm sorry. That's the way I look at it. No matter what you do, like Eugene said now, a gap should appear if you keep under the pressure. Now you kick the ball away and that's what they want. 15-12 and you can't don't even score 1 try. No, they didn't want to win.
No.
Yeah, that was my thing, because I'm like, even if you want to say first and foremost, let's get the scoreboard ticking over, do that, but they didn't even do that. It was only like right at the end where they're like, okay, now let's kick for poles. And I'm like, but guys, you had golden opportunity after golden opportunity to score tries. Now, wild conspiracy theory here, but one wonders, were they maybe like, guys, if we make this final, it means we're playing a Currie Cup final, and then we go into URC. You know what? Let's not go too wild. Or look, maybe they were just running out of gas. That's also a possibility that they were just spent.
Well, the other side of the coin is, Moya, the Bulls picked up quite a few injuries.
Yes.
And now what you were saying, doesn't really make sense. If that was the train of thought, because as I say, Johan Goosen broke his nose. 2 or 3 other guys went off. The concern is, did the mindset change after those guys got injured? And saying, listen, let's not push too hard, and running the risk of losing more players to injury. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I must say, in a way, I actually feel sorry for Boeta Chamberlain, because remember he missed the last kick to have the Sharks win at the Lions, and he missed, and then Saturday he missed as well. I actually feel a bit sorry for the Oak, because he must have a very low esteem at this moment.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Like, those are the things that will haunt you, especially where it's like, hey, you know what, you're getting this sense of deja vu, and it's in a playoff. That's also the big thing. It's not like, oh, you know what, it was during regular games. Like, nope, this was a playoff. It was literally all or nothing, and unfortunately he got nothing.
Kan ek gou vir julle iets sê? Hoe ek voel, wat vir my rarig, dis nie nice om het te sien nie, en ek hou nie daarvan om het te sien nie, maar as ek het nou gaan noem, gaan julle agterkom waarvan ek praat. Super Rugby, Currie Beeker, dit wat ons altyd gespeel het. Ons het nie die doellose skoppies gesien nie. Vandat ons by die URC betrokke is, begin ons die noordelike skoppies. Nou, julle het vroeger daarvan gepraat, maar ek wil nie ingechip het nie. 'n Skoppie op sy tyd, daar's niks aan mee verkeerd nie. But make it contestable. A kick without being contestable is just giving your ball away.
Yeah.
As long as it's contestable, sharp. That's what we did against the Cheetahs. Quinn Horn, a couple of long range kicks. There was none contestable. Yeah. We had the Cheetahs just running back at us. So,
but I
to
think
have a kick, sorry Moya?
Sorry, I think one thing that comes in now as well is the 50-22 rule. And that has made a difference because now people will kick where it's like, well, look, it doesn't have to be contestable. I just need it to roll out. It's like as long as it bounces in once, cool. We are good. We will secure that 50-22. And it's strange because I think that might have encouraged more kicking because it can be a weapon if you get it right.
Exactly. If you get it right. But you're not gonna kick 3 or 4 50-22s in one game.
Yeah, that's true.
That is my point that I tried to make earlier, Moya. I believe you have to kick sometimes, but maybe with Gino, Niels, maybe even yourself, when we were kids, you used to play a game called Driving Kiss. You stand aside, you kick to the other, he kicks it back. That's all that happens in games for 3, 4, 5 minutes at a time. They just kick for each other, and there's no sense in doing that.
En baie keer sien jy nou hierdie fancy skoppietjies. Daar's niks fout met 'n kruiskop ook nie. Glad nie. Maar dan moet jy moet hom kan execute. Om binne in iemand se 22 te gaan skop. Of jy nou oor 'n skram skop of jy 'n kruiskop, jy moet verseker wees jy gaan daai doen.
Jy moet werk.
Hy moet werk. Ek sal so ver gaan om te sê binne in iemand se halfgebied gaan jy nie skop nie. As jy in jou eie is, ja, om maar probeer uit te kom, gaan try 'n 50-22 as jy by jou 22 is. As jy binne jou 22 probeer vir die kantlyn skop. Maar hierdie doele, so jy sien hierdie, dis amper soos tennis. Ek skop vir jou, jy skop vir my terug. Alles is binne veld. En dan sometimes die voorspelers, onthou met die nuwe reël nou, die voorspelers staan in die middel daar stil. Anders is hy onkant.
Yeah.
You have your forward standing there still is checking the ping pong going on.
Yeah.
And then one of the sides decide, listen, this is enough, and start running the ball. Immediately your opponent, defense lines is not there. They're expecting the kick back. So either your 15 is deep in a pocket or your 10 is way back.
Yeah, but I think that's why they adapted the rule now where you have to backtrack to avoid the forwards. I mean, mind you, a lot of them just walk rather than run. But, to make it so people won't just stand still while the kick tennis goes on. And then, almost instantly they're a lot closer to a team if they decide to run back.
Yeah. Okay, kom ons gaan gou final prediction. What do you guys think?
Lions
I'm
by 5.
going with Lions with 6.
Lions with 8.
Ek is nou weer terug. Ek weet nie wat gaan aan nie. My wifi of fiber hardloop ondergrond, so ek weet nie.
Ja,
klank verdwyn net. Ek kan nie hoor nie, ek kan nie sê nie, dis net mors dood.
Okay. Nee, ons het net ons predictions gemaak vir die final game.
Lions met 7.
Sê. Wil julle gou so 'n bietjie daar oor die internasionale goedjies praat?
Ja, ek sal nie sê ek is teleurgesteld in die span wat gekies is nie. Ek weet net nie wat doen hulle ook weer aan nie. En ek weet nie hoe kom hulle vir krappies oor gekies om saam te gaan as hulle Jaden en wat staan begin nie. Of op die Rana begin en Jaden op die bank het. Dit maak net nie vir my sin nie. Ek meen oorspronklik toe die span aangekondig het, toe was daar drie skramskakels. Dan vra ek myself die vraag, hoekom 3 skramskakels? 5 stutte. Ek meen regtig, dit maak net nie sin nie.
Ek het daai ook gesê, onthou ek het nog op die podcast gesê. Moenie 'n Lions speler trek en jy gee hom nie 'n kans om te speel nie.
Dit
Dat
is
hy net vir sy unie speel.
Dit is presies wat ek vanmôre gesê het. Hoekom moes hulle nou krappies oorgevat het? Vir wat? Groot internasionale trip Argentinië toe. En hy word nie eens gekies nie. Ek weet nie, jy kan hom net so wel gelos het en hy kom vir ons in Saterdag gespeel het.
Ja, want hy is oorgevlieg. Ek het juist daai berig mooi gelees.
Korrek.
Hy is oorgevlieg, so hy is nie op die tweede kamp wat nou wag vir Argentinië om te kom. Hy is oorgevlieg en jy is nie 23 tal nie, dan mors jy net die speler.
Korrek. Jy ontneem daai speler se unie van die dienste van daai speler.
Well, you know, I much as I agree, my speculation is Moni van der Berg, Nicholas Janssen van Rensburg, the lock, and Kanan Moody. If things go well in Argentina, they'll feature when the Bucks come back. You know, look, the unfortunate thing is players will always get taken as cover. Also in part because I'll tell you what, if you have those guys running against you and you have to defend and you're working on your, you're doing defensive drills and that, you're really going to have to step up. And that's part of the value that they add to the team. You know, I don't want to sound defeatist and say like, hey, you know, just being part of the conversation is fantastic, but it is an important step. You know, considering if Russie wanted, he could have said, you know what, I am going to take Herschel, or, you know, maybe I'll call up someone like Ambrose Papier, there's a bunch of people he could have taken. You know, the fact that Monet is in the conversation is a good thing. But the thing is, if you are going to call him up, please use him. You know, and that's where my hope is that when they come back to South Africa, he features in that game.
Yeah, but now the other thing is, I read that Grant Williams has been released back to the Sharks.
Oh, really? I thought he was injured.
Ek het dit ook gesien.
He's been released back
injured, and I heard this afternoon he's been drafted into the Shark side for the weekend. So
you understand what
cooking somewhere.
You understand where my concern lies.
Yeah.
And that if that's the case, then there's something seriously wrong with SA Rugby, really. Because then there is underhandedness, and that is counterproductive to the game.
Yeah, exactly.
But Eugene, like I said in the podcast before, that is one of the main reasons I don't support the Boks. For some reason, the Lions players are not just given chances what they deserve. I mean, for 3 years we were unbeaten in the Super, and we had like four players in the Bok team.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. The years when the Stormers and the Sharks or the Bulls dominated the Super Rugby, they come Springbok time, there's 13 players in the side. It never happened to the Lions. And that's why I say that's politics. I mean, look at a guy like Richie Mo'unga. He's the best flyer All Blacks has at the moment, but they won't pick him because he plays overseas. That's their policy. They don't pick him.
Yeah.
And that is my reason for supporting the guys. They make a rule and they stick to it.
Ja.
Daar's goeie nuus. Ekskuus, ek gaan net gou inspring. Oom Kobus, daar's goeie nuus.
Ja.
En Scott Robertson is hard besig om vir Mo'unga daar van Japan af terug te kry.
Nee, ek weet Niels, hy werk baie hard aan. Ek volg so omtrent 10 groepe op WhatsApp, baie van die groepe wat ek volg is ouens wat in Nieu-Seeland is en hulle sê die kans dat hy gaan terugkom is baie groot. Reiser werk hard aan.
Ja, ek hoop hy kry dit reg. Nie dat Mackenzie sleg is of dat Bowden Barrett sleg is nie. Ek dink maar net met Mahunga daar sal dit beter gaan vir die All Blacks ook baie.
Ja, definitief Niels.
So gou vinnig probeer voorspellingkie maak. Wat dink julle gaan gebeur met Argentinië? Ek het so 'n funny feeling aan my. Ons gaan die eerste een dalk miskien wen. Maar wat as die tweede een verloor hier by ons? Ek het net so 'n funny feeling die Argentyne, dis een van hulle beste rugby championships wat hulle nog gehad het.
Korrek.
Ek dink hulle gaan vir ons try met alles, maar die span wat ons gekies het, kyk ons het 'n flipping goeie span gekies.
Ja.
Met 'n paar uitsonderinge van name. Ons gaan dit nou los. Maar daar sal ek ook sê, Andrei Pollard, jy het 1 punt om te kry op die log. 1 punt.
Ja.
Ons terug 4-3, ons het hom. Ons verloor met minder as 7 punte, ons het hom.
Ja.
So om in dit te trek, sal ek ook gegaan het met Pollard, maar Manny Libbok, ek stem met julle saam, ek weet nie eens hoekom is die ou mees in die discussion van Springbok nie.
Correct.
Ek weet nie hoekom nie.
Korrek. Ek meen
En hoekom het ons nie vir Feinberg?
So I think this could be one of Mani's last chances, because look, what he brings on attack is what brings him to the table. But you do get that feeling that, even the fact that he's not starting might say something here. Because my thinking is you give him at least till the end of the rugby championship. If he's not performing, don't take him on the end of your tour. You can have Pollard, you can have Sasha. That's maybe where you put in Sia Masuku or someone else and say, okay, let's bring in someone who's then going to be our number 3. Because at the moment, that's actually the big battle is who's going to make up the 3 fly halves as we build to 2027. So, yeah, I honestly just think, it's Mani, and in some ways Pollard's also, last few chances to show, like, hey, you know what, are you going to be part of what